So, welcome to one of the next sessions. The next session is about Microsoft Teams education, and in my opinion, it's one of the most wanted tools in the last 2 weeks with the COVID-19 crisis. All of the schools in Europe and also I know in America and also in China went from offline schooling in their school buildings to digitalization of the school to Microsoft Teams or to Zoom or to Google Docs and all of this. So yeah, I'm very happy to present here this session. And so let's go forward. Where I am and why I'm here. I'm Raphael Koellner. I'm also the expert and yeah, making a lot of architecture for schools and helping schools. And I'm school administrator of Office 365 and Teams since now 10 years, so Teams 5 years, and the rest of the Tenant 10 years. And I'm also Microsoft Regional Director and Microsoft MVP for Office Apps and Services. So yeah, it is my hobby to helping schools and see how the students grow up in the digital environment like Microsoft Teams or the Office 365. If you have any questions, feel free to ask via email, go on my blog or tweet me on Twitter or yeah, send me a message via Teams. It's my email address. You can send me a tweet. Good. I have only 50 minutes, so we go a little bit forward. I have a short introduction. And then I will tell something about the requirements and also about what happened in the COVID-19 crisis. For example, why you need a lot of more time to provisioning a user, how you can create a edu-tenant and how you can create teams and what are the strategies and architectures, what are the opinions and also solutions, what we use, for example, in Europe. And so, yeah, and a little bit best practice. And so, yeah, we will see the rocket will start. So, a little bit introduction. Schools today and schools in the future or schools since the last 3 weeks. We have a school today, we have a school building. We have 45 minutes or 90 minutes for a school lesson. And we have physical or math, or we have typical topics or German or English or France, what we have to learn, and we have our homework and all of this, and we have a lot of teachers and staff at school buildings, and we have the students. And the students have mostly a smartphone, a laptop, Xbox, headphones, and creating, for example, Minecraft server on Azure or on their own server, opening and creating server for TeamSpeak. So traditional before crisis and also today in some of the schools, we have the traditional school architecture and the school content. And on the other side, we have the students. They have a lot of new technology and using it every day. So yeah, it is an interesting combination and it's a very interesting how the schools change. And one of these parts is also Office 365 and Microsoft Teams. So let's go forward from traditional and modern and how we can combine it and how we can use the students to help the schools and how the schools can change and move forward to help the students with their daily work and also with the new digitalization. So in Germany, we have a lot of discussions about it before COVID crisis, today in the COVID crisis, COVID-19 crisis, and I think after the crisis too. So at first, you need a smartphone or you need a laptop, and in our schools and the most schools in Europe, not every student has a laptop at school. Not everyone has a laptop at home. Mostly they have a smartphone, an Android smartphone, for example, but this is not a school phone. That's their own phone. That's yeah, their private phone. So we have a discussion if it's allowed that all of the school data move to the private phone. So we have bring your own device discussions. And in Europe and in Germany, where I live, Germany especially, they decided, yes, it's okay because we don't have enough money to give every student a laptop and a smartphone out of the school. So the school can't give them all of the hardware, so we need to bring your own device that we can move to digital school 2022. So today, 2020, with the crisis. And also free Wi-Fi is a challenge. Not every school has free Wi-Fi, and the most of the schools has only, for example, I'm helping one of the schools that have only 6 Mbits download for 4,000 students. So that's no Wi-Fi and no bandwidth anymore. And the next one is digital paper. The most of the schools has books. So one of these, I have a small one here, one of these books. So no digital paper, only a few PDFs, and no books or ebooks or like this, so that they can share every time. So that is all. That's a challenge too. And yeah, the future skills. So we have a lot of discussions about the teachers and the teachers who will be who will be trained in using digital technologies like Microsoft Teams. Presenting in a live event is one of these skills they need in the future. So that's huge of the discussions. And yes, also privacy, financing, who has to pay for it, who trained the teachers, and is it allowed to mix data, for example, from the administration and also from the learning part. And yeah, very huge discussions. But yeah, now in this time, it's we will find solutions, and we try to empowering all of the students with these new tools. And so have a look. Have a look at COVID-19 crisis. So the last 3-4 weeks, Microsoft promoted Office 365 and EduTenants. And if you have a look at the graph on the left side, you see in these last weeks, more and more tenants will grow up. We don't know an exactly number how much EduTenants will be created in the last 3 weeks. But someone from the Microsoft Edu Team Center, it's a lot of 1,000 tenants will be created, and a lot of tenants will be created from parents too, and also from teachers, from schools, and often the people don't know each other that they created a tenant for the school. So this rise up the number of created tenants. So we have a lot of created tenants in the last weeks, in the last days. And so we don't only see Microsoft 365 Edu and not only Office 365 with Teams for education. We also see a lot of Zoom and Google Docs, especially in the USA and also in France, for example, or in Spain. But for example, in Germany or in Poland and Denmark, we see more Microsoft Teams Edu. But all of these tools, we have a lot of privacy discussions. So, but yeah. We still we come later back with this discussion, but we see the quantity. We have a lot of tenants created in the last weeks. How we created a tenant, I will show you a little bit later. And I will summarize some challenges in these last weeks with Microsoft Teams and also with Microsoft Teams for education and challenges for the schools. Because, for example, the schools in my area here, they don't have Office 365 before, and they start with Office 365 3 days before the schools closed and the students go home, and they have to start with homeschooling via Microsoft Teams, for example, and they start with Microsoft Teams. So you know, out of the press and also from the Microsoft blogs that there are some performance issues, because thousands of new tenants, thousands of minutes. I read a new number today on a blog that 2.7 billion meeting minutes happened today. So inclusive this minute now, more than 2 billion meeting minutes every day, more than 1,000 tenants every day created, and more than 1,000 meetings, for example, only in Germany, every day from different tenants, so thousands of meetings. And that's really great that, we see some performance issues, for example, provisioning of the user. So today, I saw the first time there was a notification in the Edu Tenant. Please, if you're provisioning a new user, for example, a new class, and give them licenses, you need 24 hours to 48 hours for you. So you need 2 days to get move a Teams licensing to a user, for example. So yeah, you have performance issues today, but Microsoft doing a lot of to solve this issue. For example, they deactivate some functionality, and that was a number out of last week. They rise up 70% more power, more server, more power to the edu tenants, also to the business tenants of Office 365. So they help a lot of move a lot of power and new hardware into the data centers to rise up and find a solution for the performance. Then the next one is transform the teachers and move their typical offline sessions to online sessions. So that is also one of the challenges, and I got a lot of questions from teachers. They have to paint, or they asked me how I can use a whiteboard or how I can use OneNote. So they have a digital paper instead of the classroom stuff, for example, and how I create answers and questions, how I create homeworks, and all of these you can put together in Microsoft Teams for education. And it's pre-configured. So that is a very fast introduction and a challenge that the teachers can have a look one day and then they can start. It's very easy for them. I will have a look a little bit later. Then we have a lot of limitations. We have, for example, I told you only a few students, they have a PC today at home. The most have a laptop, have a smartphone, and also they have an Xbox or a PlayStation at home. So think a little bit about it, how you work at home. For example, we work with a laptop. It's very easy to write with your keyboard and working with a laptop. It's so think back if you have to do it all only with a smartphone. Yeah, this is a challenge and it don't work. So this is one of the things. Not everyone has a laptop. So you have to think about solutions. I will talk a little bit later what you can do or what the schools do here and did here. And also, it is very strange for me. I don't believe it, but I have a look in the statistics. For example, for Germany, not every household has an internet flat rate. That's the next challenge. The students don't have internet flat rates mostly, so unlimited flat rates. So that is also one of the big challenges. And the next one is not every student has a silent room at home. So they have to live with their brothers and sisters in one room, so they don't have enough silence and to learn and to visit the online meetings or visit the Microsoft Teams meeting. So that's also one of the limitations the teacher has to handle, and also the structure of the day. I talked with a teacher and he told me, some of the students have to ping me in Teams or in WhatsApp or in Telegram every morning. Hey, I wake up, I'm here, and we can start with the lessons. I eat something, I drink something, I have water nearby me for the day to drink. So if you talk a lot, you have to drink. And then, to have a structure of the day that's typical. Normally, if you go to school in the morning, you eat some breakfast, then you talk with your friends, go from lesson to lesson, eat something for lunch, and then go to the next lesson. And the evening, go home, make your homework, and enjoy the rest of the day. And the next day starts. So this is very cool, and that's a very great challenge to move these offline structure to an online structure. Let's go forward and let's see what we do here in Germany and what I do. So before I show you what I do, I will give you a lot of information from Microsoft. You can find with Microsoft Teams education and education tooling a lot of websites. So if you have a lot of time, you can read 1 year all of the websites and PDFs. so that you don't have to do this, I share with you the main parts or the highlights of links, and this is one of it. This is a summary of the education tools for a better learning outcome. For example, Microsoft Teams for Education, also an education framework where you can see how you can structure a day, or how you can structure your lesson, how you can use the tools in Microsoft Teams for your students, and also one of my favorite things, OneNote Classbook. So you can use OneNote with your class. You can have a lot of different sheets and books in your OneNote sheet, and this is really cool. And it's pre-configured, so you can start directly. Then I have some more links for you. The typical education links, and also the OneDrive link at first. This is a very cool presentation. It was 40 or 50 pages. You can download as a PowerPoint presentation from this OneDrive. It's from a Microsoft Product Manager, Teams for Education, and you have a Microsoft Teams 101 and introduction to Microsoft Teams for Education. And this is my special hint for you. Click on the links, or you can get the links a little bit later with the presentation, or we can post it in the chat, and then click on the links and you can get the information. So get forward. We have the Resource Center. There in the Resource Center, you can get also a lot of information. There I found also the most of my links. And the second thing in nearby of the presentation is a quick start guide with the download link above. Make a screenshot, or you can get the link with my presentation. There's a 2 pages quick start guide with a lot of links and information how you can start with teaching online and teaching with Microsoft Teams. And the education framework is, it's a great paper to start. And one more or two more, you can take also some of the sheets that Microsoft produced for a remote worker, also for students and for your remote and online school. For example, taking your online events. I think Russ knows this paper too. This is also some of these papers that don't make only for education, but you can use it too. And there are some cool hints on it, how you can work with it. For example, have a moderator. So thank you, Russ, for moderation also in this session. One more and some news. Here's a link from yesterday. It's Microsoft Teams for Classroom. It's a special combination of tools how you can use Microsoft Teams in a classroom scenario, and also which features will become in the future or will come today and in this week and in the future to help you in your classroom. And one of my favorite features is raise your hand. For example, you don't know or you don't see if someone has a question, you can raise your hand on Microsoft Teams. It's possible in some tenants today, but it also comes to the edu tenants. So you can raise your hand. So this is typical in your offline classroom. Raise your hand if you have a question. Now you can raise your hand in a Microsoft Teams meeting if you have a question and can ask the teacher. So the teacher don't need a moderator, for example, so we can handle it for its own, and that's very cool. Also, custom backgrounds. That's data privacy and compliance thing, and also a very cool thing for all of students. So it's rolled out in this moment. You can have some of the default backgrounds, and in May it will be rolled out the custom ones. And also, which is a very cool feature, and it's new for live events. We have a live event today. It will edit the audio stream. So if I show you a video in my PowerPoint presentation, the audio stream will be also streamed in the live events. And this is a very cool feature. You have it too in the classic Microsoft meetings. You can click on the left side. there's there's a little bar, and there's included audio, and then you can make a click on it on the button, and then your audio from your PC will also streamed into the Microsoft meeting, and also it will comes now for the live meeting. And one more of the cool things is to end the meeting. That's rolled out, for example, today in my productive tenant and also in my edu tenant. I'm working with, so if we want to end a call and want to end a meeting, for example, now that's the end of the session, you can end the session. And that is very cool for a teacher because before you can end the session, the students can be in the room and can talk or can share pictures or chat with each other and everything, and can use the room after the lesson. Sometimes it's great, it's okay, then you don't have to end, but sometimes you want to end this lesson and want to start a new meeting with the same group, then you can end and start a new one, for example, with the other teacher and start. So that's one of the cool new features. Also to rise up for more than 250 people in a classic Microsoft Teams meeting. That's sometimes important. For example, if you have all students of 1 year, for example, all students they start with the school in 2000. You want them, or 2010, and you want them everything in a classic meeting. In a classic Teams meeting that will become also, and it stands on the roadmap. So that's also very cool. So now I want to show you what I do. So I have now 30 minutes, and that's fine. I want to show you how I started with Microsoft Teams, what I do, and I make an example out of one of my workshops. So I'm also teaching at a school. That's one of my hobbies, and also I'm making workshops. And here you see a picture of my workshop this year, and I make the same workshop last year. So I repeated it one time in a year, and here we have the topic a Guide to Galaxy, or talking about galaxy shuttles, talking about the moon, for example, or the Earth, and all of these things. So working together to one of the topics. So you can call it a workshop, or you can make it also in a lesson, so a 90 minutes lesson, for example. And here you see we use also mixed reality. We have laptops. You see here Dell laptops. We brought out of foundation, or we brought off the with the money of from a foundation. And then you see here also, for example, the shuttle in 3D objects. That's one of the cool things. For example, in PowerPoint, you can use 3D objects, and you can put these PowerPoint in Microsoft Teams, and or you can put these 3D objects in the SharePoint side, and then you can see 3D objects in Teams and also in SharePoint, and you can implement this feature into your lesson. That's really cool if the students have these 3D pictures. And we are also a test group. We creating some little power apps. You don't need to know a lot about programming, but we use the Power App, and we create in a 3D model in a Power App, and the 3D model is flying through our lessons room. So that's really cool. It's one of these things you can do, and have a look what we do. So we have the requirements. I talked to you about we have Microsoft Teams. We use Excel, Word, Stream, because we want to record some of our meetings. We want to share videos, for example, of the solutions of some projects in Stream. So we use Stream, and also we use OneDrive, the Edge, the new Edge Chromium, and also PowerPoint. And we restricted a little bit the tools to these ones, so that the students know, okay, what I have to use or what I can use and what I can use together in our classroom. And that's our choosing option, for example. So we have the tools, and we know what I have, and then we have to create before a tenant. We have the tools, so we need the tools, and we need a tenant to get these tools. And I will share with you a lot of information and some best practice out of the last weeks. I created 100 tenants, for example. Yeah, more than 100 tenants in the last 3 weeks. So before you create a tenant for education, in this tenant you get Microsoft Teams for Education. You have to need how much students and how much teachers and how much staff you have. You don't need it exactly, but if you have more than 5,000, you have to talk with the Microsoft Education team. So every tenant starts with 5,000 licensing and 5,000 accounts, and will be raised up in 300 account steps. So if you have not more than 5,000, that's okay. If you have more and you need more from the beginning, for example, 50,000, then you have to speak with the Microsoft team. So this is the first point. Then which licensing you need, A1, A3, A5. Do you need a school sync? That's nearly the same to the Azure AD sync to add the identity and the user. And also, please use my links for quick start guide and education framework that you can train your teachers and staff to use Microsoft Teams. So that's the preparing. Also, what's important, you need a domain. The domain of the school is the validation, so you need access to the domain. For example, access to the GoDaddy account where the domain is hosted, that you can import the domain to your Office 365 tenant. And it's very good, you need the name and the contact data of the leader of the school. I think that's all fine. If you need more information, I have links in the bottom of my slide, so you can click on it. Next one, licensing. You have some different licensings. For students, you have A1, A3, A5, and you have the same for teachers and staff, A1, A3, A5, but you have a look at the price. So the A3 and the A5 is a little bit, you have to pay a little bit more for the teachers and for the staff. But the A1 licensing without Office 365 desktop is for free. So you don't have to pay if you don't have a budget. You can use it without paying anything for a solution. You don't have an Office for desktop, but you can use, I see it at one school, you can use also the free versions or the open source versions of Office, and you find, for example, LibreOffice or like this. So preparing, one of the example, one of the schools I'm helping to create one of the tenants to start with Microsoft Teams has 4,500 students, around 50 teachers, and 20 people staff. So, for example, the assistant, the guy who repairs all of the things in the school, for example, if a window is broken, so all of these guys. And so we have a look and see, okay, the default account for students A1, it's for free. So we use this, and we have some students, they're working in work groups, or they have the they need Office 365 for desktop. Sometimes we have in this situation, we have some students, they don't have a lot of money to buy it, or to to use it to buy it, and also to use it for their working groups or the IT working group we founded. So they will get from us an A3 with the Office 365 desktop versions, and also the teachers. The teachers mostly get the A3, and to get the tools to create the stuff to create the material to work with the students in the best way. And also the staff will get the A3 because they need it, for example, licensing for their devices. And the IT guys, and mostly the compliance officer of the city, that's in Germany. The city is the head of the budget and also the head of the school. So mostly the head of the school and also some of the IT and compliance officer guys get an A5 because A5 is included all of the E5 features. It's the same. All of the security and compliance features, better reports, can have a look, for example, with MCAS, and to protect the tenant, it's very important to have some A5 licensing to have an overview. So we give them some A5 licensing. If you want to have a bill at the end, I make you a second table, and you see, for example, 4,400 A1 accounts, so zero cost. A3 accounts around 140. So you see on the right side, so it's around 100 for the students. So we have $250, and we have around 40 for the teachers. And we have $130 per month, so we have $380, and we have 10 accounts with A5 for compliance and security reasons and reporting reasons. So we have included all of this, and we have to pay in the school $460 per month for these 4,550 accounts to have a full digital environment for the school, and also for the school, for the learning, for the digital classroom, all of this. So yeah, that's very cool, and it's cheap for it, what we get. And it's also fine, for example, in Germany, you can pay it yearly. So you get a bill from Microsoft and pay it one time a year. That's important because in most of the cities and the most of the schools have only yearly budgets and only can pay one time in a year. So that's also possible, and it works. So some important hints to create an edu tenant. It's very easy. Go to the website, open the form. It's the best way to open it in an in-private browser. If you work with Office 365, you know it. Then you fulfill the forms. For example, creating a tenant name, choose a region, type in first name, last name, your email address, all of this, the size of the school, and all of these typical information. And then at the end of the forms, you will get an Office 365 education tenant with 5,000 A1 teacher and A1 students, summarized 5,000 accounts, and you can start. That's very easy. A tenant is created today in 30 minutes, around 30 minutes. So you can log in the next step, and you can add, for example, a school domain. And then you can add the users, for example, with the school sync, so with the AAD sync for schools, or you can add it with CSV file, and you can add then the licensing to the user. And here you have to think about it. Okay, how long I need for it? You need 3 days. So provisioning for the users can be 24 to 48 hours. So you need 3 days to configure all of the configuration of the tenant, also provisioning of users. So please wait. Today, you need a longer time for all of these configurations. Before COVID-19 crisis, it only needs 2 hours. So you see the rise up from 2 hours to 2 days. So if you plan it and if you roll out, it's not the best idea to start Monday morning. If you want to start Monday at noon, for example, or at lunchtime with rollout and using Teams, no, that's not possible. Please start on Friday or on Tuesday to implement and start with Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Office 365 Education on Monday. And here are some of the best practice hint and information. So you get 5,000 and 3,000 account steps. If you reach the limit, automatically you get 3,000 new accounts in A1. The other accounts, there's no limit. You have to pay for it, so you can choose how much accounts A3 or A5 you want. If you need a huge tenant, for example, with 50,000 accounts from beginning, you have to contact the Microsoft Edu team. For Microsoft Germany, for example, it's bildung@microsoft.com. For USA, it's education@microsoft.com. So have a look on the website. There you can find the email address, or ask your MVP or your Microsoft contact nearby, or the Microsoft partner. They know the contract address, so you can contact and say, okay, I need a bigger tenant. 3 days, 3 to 5 days for configuration you need it. Currently, here's 24 to 48, 49 hours to provision a user, and that's one of the important information. Everyone can create a school tenant. So if you don't if you are a parent, for example, or everything, or IT guy, you want to help schools, you can deploy and create a tenant, and the tenant is valid for 90 days. And if you have to start a validation process, that the tenant is for a school and is free. So the validation process starts from the beginning you created the tenant, and for 90 days, that is a period, and you have to add a school domain. And if you add a school domain and the school has a domain and you add it, then it's fine. It's validated 20 days today with the crisis. Before it's 2 days, 2 or 3 days, then you get a validation, that's fine. Today you have to wait period to 20 days. If the school don't have a domain, please contact also the Microsoft Edu team in your country. They help you and can rise up and can help you with the validation process of the tenant. So we create a tenant, we know the limits, and then we start to create our, my lesson, my classroom, and to start with a project and to start with the lessons. And I start with my students. So I have, I'm the teacher in this class, and also I have a co-teacher, and I have my students. And I have my agenda. And I start with a typical agenda. This is an agenda I planned in 4 parts for 4 lessons in a month. And I started with theory, with experiments, with group tasks and some presentations. And yes, experiments is also possible. You can make some easy experiments here, or you can use some mathematics to make a experiment in this way. It's not everything is possible, so you have to look what your students can do at home and what they can do only in school. So you have to change a little bit of your plan, but this is also fine. That was my plan for a month. And then we have a look at the devices, and we said, okay, bring your own device is fine for us. Only 10% has a touch device, so touch laptop, yes, smartphones, yes, but laptop touch device, and only 10% like this have a pen so that they can write on it. So I have to change some of my my tasks that they don't have to paint something, or they have to use a paper. For example, you can have here, for example, here you can use this, and you can make a picture with your smartphone. This is also good. I use Office Lens or the new Office app, and you can make a picture of your paper, of the paper from the students, or the students make a picture, and then they can send it to you or post it in Teams. So that's also possible. So you have to be a little bit creative, but it works. So, and then we create our team. In education tenants, it's possible to create a classroom team. It's a default template, but I configured the default template a little bit for our situation and for this school, because I don't want that they send emails to the team. And I also don't want that they can send emails outside of the tenant. So I created a rule for the team, for the Microsoft team, that they cannot send emails to the team. And also I created a rule in the Exchange Admin Center that they cannot send emails outside of the tenant. So we have some challenges in some schools before that the students, for example, log in with the school domain to Amazon and buy a lot of things and say the school pay for it, all of this. So yeah, it happens. So we said, okay, for compliance reason, and also to have a little bit control what they do, we limited it, and it works. Yeah, it works today. And they use Microsoft Teams, and we have a co-owner in every team. We have a stream channel for the team. We have homework section. We have also attachments. We have OneNote class book included. So we have the whole digital environment for our school, and it's summarized in a team. Which team we created and what we do a little bit later. There are 2 different options, what you can do. For example, one option is a team for every class, or a team for every topic like physics, but a little bit later. Here for our work group, we created this team with these tools and these features. And how we use it, this is one of the slides I shared with students. Microsoft Stream for streaming, for put all of our recordings into Stream that the class can see this, can see the video. So our internal streaming center. Then we have Excel for science sheets, for example. We created, and also PowerPoint for presentations, and knowledge. We have knowledge. Knowledge is OneNote. So we deleted the wiki in Teams and use OneNote. And we use OneNote for everyone, the OneNote class book. So the teacher in the OneNote class book see everything, and the students, for example, only see in the class book their notebook, and the parts of the OneNote class book the teacher shared with the students. So they have their own parts of the book, and they have books and can share knowledge with other students. And it's really cool. In this class, we use it with 42 students at the same time. The same OneNote sheet, the same Excel sheet, the same presentation, and it works. And it was really cool to use it. And we can use it in Microsoft Teams and also with the Desktops app. Okay, next one. How we configure it. We configure it, and this time we choose the option that we have for the work group. It's not a typical class, it's our work group class. We have a general challenge for every question. We have a question channel and a support channel, and we have 3 groups with their own topics. They can discuss there. They can discuss about the topics. And what is best practice is, please create a fun channel for memes, gifs, for everything that runs in your group. It is very cool to create a fun channel. Before we created fun channel, we have all of the memes in our groups. So in our project groups, that was not the best one. So we have to scroll a lot. And yeah, it was funny, but yeah, we say, okay, back all of these things in our fun channel. How it looks like, I don't make a picture in the respect of the students out of our really tenant. Here is my education test tenant. And here you see, for example, we have the class 4B, and we have also mixed reality course. And we see here also we can have a chat, for example. We have a typical Microsoft Teams environment, but included OneNote class book, and we have included some special things. You see it here only in German, but this is a real picture out of my tenant. You see, for example, you can define tasks for all students or only for a few students, and it's very cool. You can say, okay, the task end, for example, today and yesterday at 6 p.m., for example, and then the students have to upload PowerPoint, they have to upload a Word deck or everything, and if the task ends, they can't upload anymore. And I see a list as a teacher, I see a list of all students who uploaded something and students who don't upload it. So I can chat via chat via chat. I make it via chat, via the Teams chat. Go to the and say, please don't miss your task and all of this. So this works really great, and I love it. And these are the special things in a Microsoft Teams education tenant you don't see in an enterprise or in business tenant. So you have a different environment here. You have an education environment. So you have also different AI licensing. So with an AI teacher licensing, I see all the teacher stuff, and the OneNote classbook, I'm automatically as a teacher in a classbook. With an A1 students licensing, you see only your students and what you have to see with your students' account. So that's really cool. You can create both and have a look at it. That's what I do when I started with it. To test what the students see, what the teachers see, but it's very cool and it works. So what we do next, we created a guide, and this was really cool. We created together with the students. we created a teamwork guide from Microsoft Teams. And together with the student, we summarized it to these points. Be open. Respect each other. Elect a team leader for your project team, for example. Install Microsoft Teams client on your phone. So install it on your phone, install it on your PC, use it in a web app so that you have access to our discussion, to our content. And also connect people and create a task. And if you create a task, connect a task every time with one of the students. So if you have a task and no one has to fulfill the task, that's the best one. So created it and have fun. So we have fun channel, we have also fun teams. We have a team with the best jokes of the week, for example, and everyone of the students created the best joke of the week, get a badge in Microsoft Teams, the best joke of the week badge. So they can collect badges, and that's also a very good hint for you that the students have a look into Teams. Because not only the learning material is very cool for the kids to join Teams, but if you have a conversation in Teams, if you have fun in Teams, if you have jokes in Teams, if you can push or pull a little bit of the daily life of a student into Microsoft Teams, they will see your task, they will see and do something, chat with you. And that's really cool. And every time I'm open, I answer the students, but I send them also. That was one of my guidelines I add to this hub, and it's don't on this sheet, but I added for me, and I communicate to students, I don't answer after 10 p.m. Between 10 p.m. and in the morning, 8 a.m., I don't answer, or 7 a.m., I don't answer for all of the school questions. So I have a little bit time for me for sleep, reading a book or like this, but the rest of the time I answer the students, and that's cool, and that's a work-life balance also for me. So our team for this experiment, here's a live screenshot of it. We call it the Guide to Galaxy team to talk about astronomy, mathematics, about the different shuttles and the experiments, what we do, for example. Throw a pen, how long it needed, and all of these things. We created, and we have also, you see here, rocket launch videos we created. It was before, this one was before COVID-19 crisis. So we built, for example, water rockets and make videos of it. So we created videos of the water rocket launches we added to stream. And also we created OneNote workbook as a wiki. So we added all of our information and science sheets also to a wiki. That was really cool. And it works really cool. And we start with rockets. So that was what we do in the time of our working group and working papers. And one of the important things is my example was out of the working group, not a classic classic school class or lesson. It was nearby, but for a classic using of Microsoft Teams in a school, we discussed about these two concepts. We choose this concept 1, and the most of the school use the concept 1, but there are a lot of arguments for concept 2, so I will show you. So you have, for the classic using Microsoft Teams in a classroom, you have 2, or you can have a look at it, maybe you have 8 concepts. These are the 2 mostly used concepts, and you have the concept for a working group nearby the classic lessons like math, German, French, mathematics, all like this. So this is the working group, and this is the examples of a team. And we choose the first one. The first concept is we have a team for every class, and we have channels for every lesson they had. For example, mathematics, German, English, French, informatics, all of these. And we created a private channel for the teachers. So in the private channel, the teachers can chat with each other about the class, about the students. They can load up, for example, if a teacher is ill, the teacher can load it some material up in this private channel, and another teacher go into the, for example, in the German class, and can share the material with the class. That okay, I'm your teacher for today. I'm the teacher for you today. The other one is ill. Here's the material. Please fulfill the sheets, or please write a story about your new animal, or like this. And this is very cool. So you have for every class 6A, 6B, 4B, 4A, and all of this. You have different teams. This is one of the concepts. But what is the challenge in this concept? We have the challenge in this concept after 3 years. We see it because the students will change the class. And we can't use the old class for a new team. So we have to delete the team and create a new 6B team. Yes, we will have to wait 30 days, but there's a PowerShell script that you can delete it now. But yeah, you rebuild the same class and edit the same information. That was not the best one. So that is a challenge, how to handle knowledge sharing and how to handle it, creating every time a new class. That's what some schools said, okay, we have to change a little bit, but the other schools they said, okay, no, we use it, we archive the team, create a new team, and use it, and the teachers can have a look in the archive team, or the other school said, okay, we deleted all the students out of the team and added only the teachers, so that the teachers of the new 6B class have all the stuff and the material and can copy it in the new team. So yeah, there's one feature we are waiting for, that is moving channels from one team to other team. Because, for example, the fun channel or the discussion channel, we want to move in the 7B. So the old class can have all of the information in the new team. So that is what you have to think about it. The second concept is you use a topic concept. So you have teams for maths, for physics. You have a team for the teacher. So we have for German, for informatics. You have different teams, and then you have different channels. And then the students can move between the channels. So we don't create a new 5A class channel or 5B. So we stay it. Why? It's a little bit heavier, or it's a challenge for the teachers because they have to create every time new task. But it's very cool because we don't delete it, because in every channel you have a very huge knowledge of the students. After 4 years, you have a huge knowledge base. For example, you don't have to buy a book after 6 years. Because you have all the knowledge in your OneNote sheet you need to train the students, and you can go with the students in the OneNote book and in the sheets and said, okay, here you see what the other classes build, what the other classes add to the book, and we add another topic to the book. And so they learned and they collect information. So that's one of the advantages of the second concept, but you have to choose what you want. Okay, so I have 5 minutes and I have the last slide. Okay, Russ is back. Okay, last slide, best practice. To summarize all of these, from creating tenants, COVID-19 crisis, to a little bit about my best practice and what we use and what we discussed with the schools and what I discussed with the school and I discussed with my school. We're working some times in a year, and some best practice and learnings out of 6 years now, actively using Office 365 and 5 years Teams, or 10 years obviously 5 years Teams, is to give them access to Teams. We talked a lot about how we get them into Teams. I love this. Very easy. Give them an account. That's the account. Here's your password. Start. And they start. And this is very cool because in Teams, the students, they don't need a lot of guidelines. They use it. Yeah, they use Teams. And you need a guideline for the teachers often, yes, but for the students, give them access, wait what happened, give them a little bit structure, so concept 1 or concept 2 and work group structure, create the channels before, and then let the students in and let the students work, and it works. Gives them clear tasks. That's what we have offline and also online. Gives them clear tasks and who has to make the task to which time and date, and who has to upload the solutions and the results of the task. That is really good. Very clear, very easy, 1 sentence or 2 sentences and fine. And then to give them time to solve. Sometimes it was really cool to give them 3 hours. Give them 3 hours at home. They open a meeting in a group and talk together, find a solution, use whiteboard and OneNote, for example, to solve the mathematics problem or like this, and then come back and let them work and give them some time. Also use Excel collaboration. Use all of the collaboration features. They can work together in one sheet, and it works. Most of the teachers said, no, they deleted the work of the other group. No. In reality, it works. They know it. And also stream and video is one of a breaker and breakpoint. Use videos and stream. Record your lessons that the students can have a look. For example, in Germany, we have one of the popular YouTube influencer is which one? Is a teacher. He streams his whiteboard in the back and talk about mathematics. Talk about functions, a very short 15 minutes. And this is the most wanted YouTube streamer influencer in schooling. And you can add these videos in your teams via tab. That's what we do. And this is really cool. And if you see the comment, for example, a lot of students said, this guy is the hero of my life, and I understand how he explained the mathematics challenges and how he explains the resolution. So give them a try. I'm not the best one to explain, so add and summarize. He's a YouTube guy, or he's a guy, and I can explain, and he can explain. So that's very cool. So use videos and give them free space to fun. To have fun, to talk together, networking, talk about how they meet in the evening and all of this, and bring passion with it. And these 7 things is one of things. Technical, we can find a solution for everything, but you need passion and you need to have a lot of fun to use it with your students. Yeah, ready, end.
Excellent, great job. Thank you so much, Raphael. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with us and provide all that knowledge.
Do you have any questions, or I don't see it in my presentation mode?
Yeah, I don't see any questions in yet. If anybody wants to submit a question, fine. We still have a minute, but I think you did such an excellent job covering everything. You've answered everybody's question in advance. So
you can get the slides and you can share it. So if you want to start, these important information is the summarized advantage information. You need time. You get a tenant. You can start with a tenant and start to digitalize, use lessons and use school and use Microsoft Teams.